What's the deal, Pickles? All right, so if you're new here, last year I bought this 2003 Toyota Matrix, pretty cheap from a guy at work. It needed a lot of work though. I ended up putting a whole new suspension on it, catalytic converter, replacing the exhaust gasket and parts of the exhaust. Had to replace a bunch of seals on the motor, put a new water pump in it, stuff like that. The car's got 290,000 miles on it, so it's gonna have its problems. But ever since then, it's been a great car until like 3 days ago, because the radiator started leaking. And since this is my daily, I gotta fix it. I mean, I could drive the van, but it gets like 5 miles to the gallon. So yeah, I'm not doing that. Gas is expensive. So we're gonna be changing the radiator on a 2003 Toyota Matrix. That being said, let's get after it. Honestly, there's not a whole lot to it. Drain it, disconnect the hoses, unbolt the radiator and pull it out. So it shouldn't be too terrible. But first I gotta drain all the coolant out, which is relatively easy. You just got that little valve right there. You just unscrew it and it'll drain down. Now I just gotta figure out where to put my pan at. Get the feeling this is gonna go everywhere but in that pan. And draining. Suddenly I have to go to the bathroom. While that coolant's draining, I'm gonna go ahead and get my fan disconnected. I've got to cut this to disconnect the power going to the fan, get it unbolted and pulled out. Okay, that's disconnected. Kind of fold it out of the way, I guess. Go ahead and disconnect this overflow too. I've never done this on a Toyota Matrix before, so I'm kind of flying by the seat of my pants here, but it's kind of how we do things, so we'll be okay. Now I'm gonna pull this 10mm bolt out. There's also one on this side back here. We're gonna take this fan shroud out. So, yep, here we go. What you hanging up on now? There we go. That was easy. I think I'm gonna do the thermostat as well. I have it, so I might as well do it, you know what I mean? Knowing my type of luck, if it wasn't for bad luck, I wouldn't have any luck at all. I'll change the radiator and the hoses and the thermostat will stop. It'll freeze closed or freeze open, not work properly, and then I'll just have to do all this all over again. So yeah, I'm not doing all that. I'm gonna just go ahead and change it all while I got it open. Might as well. Y'all see where my leak was now? All right here. Yep. That radiator's toast. And I don't like using stuff like stop leak, especially on these somewhat newer cars, because they don't tend to react well with it. So this is pretty much finished draining. So I'm going to slide the drain pan over here and disconnect that lower hose and try and get as much of this coolant out as possible, so I'm not wearing half of it and dumping it all over my yard. I'm going to be replacing the upper and lower hoses as well. I'm really hoping I can get that thermostat out without having to take all this crap off. I'm pretty sure I can, but we'll see. I'm sorry about the angle. This is the best that I can do right now. And here we go. At least it's somewhat new coolant. I had to add some to it, so it's not spent coolant. Everybody knows how bad that stuff stinks. That is god awful when coolant is used beyond its service life. It smells like a hot fart. We got that off. Now we got to do this upper hose. Go. There we go. Okay. All right, radiator's ready to come out. Now all we got left is just this bracket here, as well as this one. Pop these little clamps off. Radiator should lift right out of there. Should. Yep. There it is. There's that old leaky boy. Okay, so I've pulled the lower radiator hose. There is my thermostat housing, and right behind it is the thermostat. Luckily, I don't have to take off the serpentine belt and move the alternator and all that. So that's the good news. The bad news is I don't have room to record this, but this is just 10mm bolts. There's one on top and the bottom. I'll pop this off. I'm gonna take that thermostat out, put a new one in, replace the gasket, put this all back together, and then we can start slapping this radiator back in. I mean, I could take off the serpentine belt, you know, move the alternator back and have more room to do it, but I don't want to. I'm kind of lazy. Oh, that's great. Right into my damn drain pan. Oh, God. At least the bolt stayed in it, so I don't have to dig through there. That's awesome. There's my thermostat. Now, try and pop it out without making a mess. All right, so I got the new thermostat put back in, but I'm gonna go ahead and replace these radiator hoses while I've got everything apart. Then we'll slap the new radiator back in. Okay, so we got brand new radiator hoses, upper and lower. Got the clamps on the lines. Now, about to slide in this new radiator. It's pretty. Forgot to get these old grommets off the old radiator. Cool. I want y'all to look at how pretty that is. God, there are a few things prettier than a brand new aluminum radiator. Now I just got to slap the cooling fan back on and the clamps, hook up the hoses, and we'll start putting some coolant in this bad boy. And there's little tabs that just pop down on it. I'll show you that here in a minute. Just gotta get this thing to sit on there exactly right. There's that. Okay. Put the overflow tube back on. Got everything bolted back in. Now it's time to start dumping some coolant in this thing. Well, at least get it filled up, and then I'll crank the car and let it kind of circulate a little bit, try and blow a bunch of this air out, because there's going to be a ton of it in here. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see it, but I'm going to crank the car up. I think we're going to be ready for a test drive. All right, well, it has been sitting at operating temperature for about a good 15-20 minutes. I'm pretty confident that I got all the air out of it, but I'm going to do a road test now just to be sure, so we'll see how this goes. So now, we're going to take it on down the road a piece, see what happens. Keep an eye on my temperature gauge. It's going to run it up about 55, 60 miles an hour. I probably should have cleaned up a little bit before I got in this car, but this is just my beater with a heater. I mean, it's pretty obvious it's a 20-year-old Toyota, but I like driving this little car. It's fun to drive. It's good on gas. It's easy to work on. I mean, just all in all, it's a pretty good car. It's just old. I mean, it's got 290,647 miles as of right now. But it's still running strong. I mean, stuff like radiators, water pumps, clutches, that stuff's bound to happen. Anybody who tells you that they've never had to do any of that to their car either hasn't had it very long or it's about to happen all at once. I mean, she's holding steady right there. I think we're gonna be good though. I'm just glad I was able to get this fixed because granted, this car is a piece of crap, but it's my piece of crap and I like driving it. And I want to keep driving it. So I'm gonna take care of it and fix it. All right, so I got back to the shop. I checked the fluids and everything. The overflow bottle had come down just a little bit, so I threw just a little bit more in there. I'm gonna keep an eye on it for the next little while. Pretty sure I got it straightened out. So perfect. Maybe I'll get another 290,000 miles out of this Yoda. I like this little car. No, it's not fast or pretty, but it's fun to drive and I'm good with it. Eventually I'm gonna strip this thing down and paint it, but I ain't figured out what color yet, so if y'all have any ideas, let me know. Also, eventually gonna put the bigger tires on it once I finally wear these out. It's still got the lift kit on it and the air horn, so it's a fun little project between projects, if you know what I mean. But if you haven't already, like and subscribe. Make sure you use the links in the description to pick up a t-shirt from MiniBike Apparel. And until next time, y'all get up, get out there, and get after it.